Okay, we'll call the meeting of the October 1st, the advisory committee to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Up on the agenda is approval of minutes for, okay, two. We'll start off with the approval of the minutes for the August 20th meeting. Deb had sent those out previously with the September 3rd ones. If anyone has any changes or omissions that was admitted after reviewing.
I make a motion to, oh, go ahead, Will.
You said August 20th, you're going first?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm just looking at that.
I make a motion to accept the minutes for August 20th meeting as written.
Second.
Okay, anyone have any comments, questions, concerns? Okay, call the vote. Tony?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
Will?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay, the next minutes we got is meetings for the minutes of September 3rd, 2020. Those also went out. If anyone has any.
I'd like to have a correction made.
Okay, go ahead, Will.
It would be the discussion on the end of year transfers. I did not end up saying I would send information out. I did say that if somebody wanted to know the list of communities, because there were so many of them, that they can contact me, and nobody contacted me.
Okay, Deb, you.
Yep, I can make, I'm just looking to see where it was.
I think one of the reasons, Will, why we might not have commented on that. I know that some information, I believe.
Because I also made the comment about when talking about that is that people needed to end up doing some research. I ended up doing that, and I say this every time I come with information. Please go off and check what I'm saying. I don't want people that can end up just say whatever I say that they're going to end up taking gospel. I want people that can end up doing some of the research so that they're aware on how to take and do the research so that we can end up having a good committee that everybody is aware on how to get the information, and we can have a better discussion.
Yep, so I can change the I can edit the comments, Tom, to say that Will offered to share the source of the information as well. Is that better? And then, for others to independently research themselves.
Because there was actually 35 communities as I looked at that all ended up on the end of the year transfers. The finance or advisory committee ended up doing the end of the year transfers, and there was another 6 that communities that they got involved at end of the year, and some of them got involved with the transfers from the reserve fund, which is not supposed to happen. Mass general law is pretty specific about that as to who is responsible for the emergency reserve. That's why it's under the budget for the advisory committee.
I think you're getting a little confused, Will, and we'll go over it later with the not on the as far as the approval, yes, but what they're not looking to have us do the approval and allow them to do the approval. I don't believe I will hear a little bit more on the 7th, but there was, I did some research on the topic also on some joint finance committee meetings.
Yep.
And there were some that also did both and didn't have any issues on that. So I think our biggest thing is just to kind of
Well, a majority of the
do the
communities that I
information
looked
because-
at, yeah, the majority of the communities that I looked at, like I said, the 35 communities, all the end of year transfers, they all handle them separately from the Board of Selectmen.
Correct. And I believe we'll still keep doing that also. What we're basically, I think all this is talking about is so that we all get the information at the same time, which was actually this committee's complaint this past spring, is we're getting the information later than the Board of Selectmen and not having enough time to actually review it and discuss it. So I actually think this is going to solve one of the problems we had, but
Yeah, because one of the things that I pointed out was that we have two mass general laws, one for emergency reserve, and that's under the auspice of the finance or advisory. The other is end of year transfers. You had the Association of Town Finances, Section 3, which is very specific as to what our responsibilities are for both of those, and that we can end up setting policies and procedures for those. And the Selectmen's Handbook on page 80 or 88 is very specific about that we're the watchdogs, and we're supposed to be watching, and we're independent. So I mean, I don't want to be redundant, but those are really quick to rehash everything that was happened.
okay, well, we'll go over that a little bit more when we get to that topic. Do you have any other changes on the minutes that we're going over now?
No, that's pretty well what I like to see change.
Okay, I can make an edit and send them back out so we can maybe, I don't know what the motion would be, the motion to table
Oh, we
them.
can-
And I'll-
I think we can make a motion, Deb, to probably accept them with that change. There shouldn't be an issue with that.
Okay,
Will, you okay with that? It is your change, so.
You have to take and have somebody adjust the motion, Mr. Chairman. You're gonna have to amend the motion to take it end up with that just the way you said is accept them with the changes that were just
Okay.
discussed.
There is no motion
We haven't made a
for this
motion
one
yet.
yet.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, I'm sorry. Getting ahead of myself.
Someone would like to make a motion? No, I will certainly entertain that.
I guess I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for September 3rd with the changes we just discussed.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any more discussion on the minutes? Okay, Tony,
Yes.
Amy,
Abstain.
okay, Will,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes,
and I'm a yes. Okay, takes care of the minutes. Next up on the agenda is the final budget versus actual for FY20. Hopefully you did all get it. I did send it out. I know we talked about it taking us a while to get to it. Unfortunately, that was the case. However, we have it now. So I think just moving forward from getting it and working in the future on getting it a little bit earlier would be a big benefit to us rather than wondering why in that. And I do appreciate us getting it at this point. So I'm not sure how we want to go through reviewing it. If anyone has any thing they want to specifically go over as far as the end of the year. I wasn't here at the end of the year last year, so I'm not sure how you guys normally handle it. I know some of what I was looking at is accounts that have ended up with a lot left over at the end of the year without any. It's kind of a tough year to look at that because some things were done differently with the end of the COVID pandemic. My other concern was some of the large projects that seem like they still have quite a balance from quite a number of years ago. Some of these projects surely had been completed along the way, and unsure if they still have items going on. We
Yeah,
did only get Go ahead, Tony.
Sorry. Well,
No, go
like
ahead.
one thing I'd like to see is, and I'm just, because I just looked at this randomly a second ago again, like the senior center or senior services was expended at 55%. Well, there's probably a real good reason why, but it would be nice to have those reasons why, like, okay, they reduced staff by one person, therefore, you know, it freed up X amount of cash or whatever. So anybody that's probably below 90%, it would be nice to have an explanation as to why they didn't meet it, you know, for the DPW, or it could be we weren't allowed to hire a laborer until late, so we didn't expend those funds or whatever. It would just be nice, you know, maybe we should say, you know, set that limit of what that number we're concerned about is, you know, whether it's 85%, 90%, whatever.
No, I agree with that. That actually that's a good idea. And that's something that because there are, you know, projects that may not be finished for a reason, as even, you know, looking at some of the projects, even, you know, a mini split for the town hall for AC, this same money allocated in 18 still sitting there and now, but is there a reason that hasn't been done? Or, and some of these projects and accounts would actually, if there's a specific reason, it'd be good to hear that. I certainly can make a request to Adam to ask the department heads just to review their section on the end of the year expenses, and anything with more than 90% remaining, or anything with, you know, more than 90% used, less than 90% used, sorry, to either submit to us. I don't think they need to appear to go over it. If there's just something written in writing, we can just review and go over at the meeting. I certainly think that would be to us reviewing it.
I think so too.
Does anyone have any other opinions on feelings on that? As far as asking that, is that asking too much of department heads? What's your opinions on that?
Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, we've discussed this before with them, and for whatever reason, either department heads or some other function of the powers that be in the town feel like they don't need to account for that. They don't need to explain any part of that. You know, Tony has talked over and over about a spend plan. We don't have that. They don't have any projections. They don't do anything like that. I feel like on the weekly update would be a great time to put in little things like that, especially as this was so late coming to us. And I understand this is probably a different topic on the agenda, but you know, chunks of the weekly report say nothing to report, nothing to report, nothing to report. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know, I feel like perhaps there's some sort of narrow, what do I want to say here? I want to say that like so few people touch this particular document that they don't have the answers that we're looking for. You know, I could guess that the reason the senior center is only at that level expended is because they closed, like shut their doors, closed, no services, nothing because of COVID. So I can guess that, but I don't think anybody has a firm answer for that because they're still closed pretty much.
Well, I think the department heads should have a firm answer to those questions because they each have their own, I mean, they're still getting their monthly budgets as far as their, you know, where they are, and they know where they ended the year because they all got this document as far as the end of the year budget versus actual. I believe it went out to all of them. So I can't speak of how things been or have not been done as far as the past goes with what we've got for information, but I can speak that I have no issue with asking for it. And, you know, sometimes I can be a real pain in the, you know what, as far as trying to keep getting it. And I can continually ask that, and I don't mind doing that. I think town hall is willing to work a little bit with us, and I don't think it'd be a bad thing to at least approach. If we have an issue going forward, then we'll have to address that, in my opinion.
Well, I also think as we start coming up into the budget cycle for the next year, you know, I'd want that information till when someone puts a budget up. Well, why do you need the same amount or more than you had last year when you only expended at 72% or whatever the thing is? I wouldn't have to ask that question if we had that information. Like Amy said, it could be a very logical reason. It could be we shut down because of COVID, rec department or whatever. I didn't see anybody that was overspent, but that you could say, well, such and such department had to overspend because of that. Or maybe part of the senior center was because we had to take money from them to pay for the school bill. There was that, whatever, $75,000 or $78,000. So I think the explanations are just more data points for us. So as we go further to build the budget for next year, we don't have to question them. Oh, okay, I understand why you expended this. And if we're still in COVID, it may affect the budgets of certain departments.
I just think it'd be helpful information. I agree. I think it's something that if we get it, we should be able to. I mean, being a department head elsewhere, I know exactly what I wasn't able to spend money on versus what I need to spend extra money on already going into a current year. So I think the department heads for a reason, and they are very, very good with what their budgets are. They know it. They know their numbers as far as what they can and can't have. And I think having an explanation won't be too difficult for them to put together, because they know why they didn't expend money or why they overspent. If in some cases, if multiple plow trucks broke down in the plowing season, maybe they spent more. That's why they come to the advisory board for additional funds in the end of the year for transfers. So I think that's a good idea to have that extra information for us.
I do have one comment coming from Bob May, who's watching us on YouTube. He said the senior center is partially funded through grants that we budget for upfront.
Okay, I'd have to look on the grant cycle to see if it's listed on the end of the year without having it, reviewed it exactly. But and some departments have multiple grants that come in too. So they may have received a grant for something that, they wouldn't necessarily would have had to budget for. So that may be why they have extra money left. Then that's a good thing for us. If the department heads are pushing on grants or various departments being funded through that way, that's very helpful, I think. Does anyone else have anything they want? I know, Will, I know you've been a big proponent of us getting this and, continue to go over it. What's your opinion on that?
I don't think you want to hear my opinion, because I'm going to be very critical of the advisory committee. We have had multiple years where we have had large amounts of money on different things. And I stated it, and I have to go along with the rest of the committee. I understand most of the committee did not want to go through the budget per se this last year and the year before. I'm a proponent that you should, even though you have that Saturday thing, we should go through the budget and push back. We've had, especially the insurance. I mean, everybody can check this out. Take a look at the last 2 or 3 years. That amount of money has been hundreds of thousands of dollars, literally every year. And we just move money from that account to other accounts. So that's why it's only about 150,000 versus the 200 that it was before the end of year transfers. That's got to stop. That's an extra burden on our citizens. Right in our mission statement, we say we're going to balance the fact between what they need and try to end up being conscious about the tax rate and making sure that we don't throw a lot of extra money into it. I mean, that's literally why you have an emergency fund. It's to end up having a little tighter budgets. And at the end of the year, if they need it, that it comes from the emergency fund. We haven't done that for quite a while. I've heard all the other members saying, I don't want to go through it. Well, okay, but that's our job. We're supposed to be the watchdogs. I mean,
Or do you think this would help us with getting the extra information to go through versus actual moving forward? As I've said, and I say it probably 5-10 times a meeting, I can't look at how we're going backwards. I can't do anything we've done before. We can move stuff forward and try to work on getting the extra.
Well, that's why I'm saying about, Tom, about the budget. We should have gone through it. We should have looked back at past years and said, hey, listen, you're asking for this amount of money. The last number of years, you've had X amount of dollars way above and beyond.
Well, let's start with
Why are you
FY20.
asking for that?
Let's start with FY20. We have that right in front of us.
Yep.
We have the opportunity to, talk to Adam about asking the department heads on why they have a lot of money left, no money left, overspent. And we can move forward with those explanations on, with them just submitted into us.
Well, the budgets are already submitted, Tom, and that extra money is already in there, especially for
Next year's budget, FY22's budget's not formulated yet.
right. And going forward, right, at the 22 budget, we should be looking at that really with a fine-tooth comb and then see what the past years have led us to and said, hey, you've had extra money all these past years in this account. That's too much.
Well, we can start with like I said, we can start with what we've got in front of us. We're not going back and doing the past years. But we
Well, I'm not advocating that we go back and try to correct past years, but we should use the past years as a gauge as to the coming budgets and if there's too much money in them.
Well, we can gauge by that, but if we start with the FY20, I think that this year started a whole different ballgame for every community with the pandemic and that. Budgets are not anywhere near what they should be. I think this year is going to be some really crazy budgets. Some departments won't need half of what they got. Some will need double what they got.
Well, I see revenue issues this coming year.
I see some revenue issues, but I've talked to some business owners in town that their businesses have been up 300-400%. So I think that all depends on the business, and we're going to be seeing how things come through, and we can only, guesstimate on that. But what we can get if we start with the explanation on this, it's a good place to start, I think. Does anyone want to, anything else to add or make a motion to, we check in with Adam and see if we can move forward, asking that information from the department heads and review this at maybe not necessarily it shouldn't be too high. We can at our next meeting or.
The biggest thing I'm disappointed on is that we have a bylaw that says that we should, when we ask for something, we're supposed to get it. You ask for it that many times, that's unexcusable. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I find that's unexcusable. And I don't like the answer that we got from the administration. To me, that's bull.
I think after speaking with a few people, Will, I can't guarantee, but I do believe that's going to be different this coming year. I think that,
I think so too. Let's put it this way. I'm hoping that it will be different.
I think it will be. I think we're ironing out a few things down there. And like I said, I think that's, if we show our willingness to, to work with them and, hopefully they'll reciprocate and we can only go forward with that. So I think that it'll be beneficial. And I think next year will be a lot smoother with the end of the year items.
I have one comment. Timothy Toth just mentioned that today's weekly report indicates that the fiscal year 20 annual reports are due, but only a few departments have submitted them.
Okay, I appreciate that, Tim. Thank you.
I just want to say this is something else we talked about previously, and it seems that part of the delay for this document coming out was that the person responsible for the document and in charge of the items and the information was unavailable. And I know that it was me before that brought it up and said it's dangerous to have something like this department be run by a single human being that no one else can hit the print button. No one else can hit distribute. No one else, for whatever reason, can't get this information out to where it needs to be out. That was what I got from the chain of emails, was that person, Kelly in this instance, I'm not trying to talk bad about her, I'm just saying this is her document, and she was unavailable for whatever her very legitimate reasons were. And I think it's dangerous to have that continue to be the case. she either needs a backup or someone else needs to have access to the things that she does at the same time. And this is just to say it out loud again and just to put it out there that I don't think it's responsible to have her department be unsupported in this way. I don't know what the answer is, but it seems unfair to her, and it's unfair to us, the select board, and the town as a whole.
I think that, having talked to a couple people, that I think there is another person that either is assisting her or will be able to. I think that possibly either they may not have felt comfortable giving it out without Kelly being there to approve it. I know there was a little bit of confusion with DOR stuff, whether it was relevant or not. I think that I just think that I don't know what the reasoning was. I don't think there'll be the same reasons next year. That's all I can, go with on that. I think that at the end of the day, I'm glad we got the document now and we can move forward with it. And I think asking for the reasoning from the department heads will be a beneficial thing for us to go forward. And I think it'll help, and obviously I know some of the selectmen watch the meetings. I think it'll help them also when they're formulating on the budget end, and it'll also help Adam, going forward. It's going to be a totally different budget year coming forward and that he's going into. And I think that, all the help we can give in the positive aspect towards the process with this whole pandemic still, whether it continues as it is, spikes, reduces, goes away after the election, I'm not sure what it's going to do, but we'll kind of go forward with that. And I think that having the information isn't going to hurt anyone, I don't think.
So if nobody else has anything, I'd like to make a motion that we request from the department heads for any account, any department that's underspent, or let me try that again. Like to make a motion that we ask for a description of why they were not spent up to 90% for the year or expended.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other comments on that? Okay, Tony,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
Will,
Please come back to me.
Deb,
Yes.
I'm a yes. Will,
I think the horse is out of the barn. It's too late. I'm going to say no.
okay. All right, next on the agenda was to discuss remaining COVID-19 monies out of the original amount that potentially could be allocated to the town of Templeton. I did speak, like I said, at length with MEMA Director Curtis. He's been working with MEMA and FEMA and all the forms, and as far as the supplies and that since the beginning of this pandemic. They did put out a request to departments early in the pandemic to what supplies and what items they foresaw them needing. They took that list they got from department heads, prioritized things, and put in their initial requests. They will be potentially doing a secondary request to the departments and doing another submission as far as coming up sometime in mid to late October. They do have, at this time, they currently are not running with any additional major expenses that are completely unexpected as far as the town goes. He seemed to be very confident with how things were going as far as with the supplies here in town. I would certainly like to, publicly thank him for, the hard work. I know that I think any of these small towns, the emergency management directors, or any big cities and towns never expected to have the work that a pandemic will create on them as far as the Board of Health, emergency management, public safety, schools. Nobody expected any of this. And I think overall as a town, from what I've seen and what I've heard, I think they've done an excellent job with keeping the finances going forward, yet still having the supplies that people need to protect themselves and the taxpayers. So I know I'd like to say thank you for that as far as that goes. So there was, as far as money wise, it's an ongoing request back and forth with MEMA and FEMA, what they approve, what they don't approve, what they'll allot, what they won't allot. A lot of formulas when it comes to their forms. I know I've filled some of them out. I know the painstaking amount that goes through that. So I just like to say thank you on that to those guys that have gone forward with doing that. So I don't know if anyone else has any comments, questions, concerns as far as that goes on the COVID monies. It is unknown if they'll be doing additional rounds for communities, municipal, state government, how it'll trickle down to us. It's still quite a realm of the unknown when it comes to the aid that comes to the communities at this point. Anyone else have anything on this agenda item? Deb, any comments on the wire?
Nope, we're good on the wire.
All right. Okay. Next thing I got is discuss the fall town meeting. Fall town meeting, I don't know if they've exactly set the date yet, if the Board of Selectmen is going to be setting it. I believe it's going to be the 26th of October. This will, that'll be pretty much Carter's finishing time. Adam's starting time will be the following week. I don't know if we want to go through the warrant this time, wait and see what I did send out a draft warrant. There are still a few to be determined as far as pretty much only dollar amounts as far as some capital articles, mostly having to do with Stonebridge. I'm not sure what's the opinion of the board. Do you want to review this at this meeting? Would you like to review it at our next meeting? Anyone?
Well, if the meeting's the 26th of October or November.
October.
Yeah, so our next meeting would have to be a pre-town meeting, which we can, look it over and discuss it then. I mean, that's an appropriate time to do it, but.
Just not sure if everyone's had time to review it, if they'd like a little bit more time. We certainly could do whether we do a pre-town before our scheduled meeting or do it within our scheduled meeting. We could have a meeting within it just as a pre-town and then continue with our meeting afterwards. Or we can go through it now. It's pretty short. It really won't take long to go over it as far as the articles go. Why don't we run through it now just quickly and see if there's anything anyone else has any issues with the articles that we have. Article 1 is payment of late bills. See if the town will authorize payment of late bills. There's a couple of them submitted. Highway Department, these are for the FY21 budgets. Highway Department and Town Clerk. Submitted by the Select Board, requires a 9/10 vote. Bills totaling roughly a little under $200. Any questions on that? Do we want to make our recommendations now, or do we want to do our recommendations when at pre-town?
We do it at pre-town.
Okay. Article 2 held over from 2020 annual town meeting. It's was a consent agenda to the reports of town offices, report of town committees. Those were held over from annual town meeting. As a lot of these were. Article 3 is amending the bylaws on appointing officers and trustees. If the town will vote to amend Article 1, the general bylaws board annually in June, choose and appoint all necessary town officers and trustees for the Boynton Public Library and the Gilman White Memorial Fund. And it would be ruling out, removing trustees for the Jehu Richardson Fund, Masonic Fund, and the Waldo Haskell Fund to serve for July 1 following June 30th. That was submitted by the select board, majority vote required. Any questions on that? Article 4, capital budget, special articles in the general fund. We do not have the amount yet, sum of X amount dollars for various capital activities, special articles described below. We got the tax title work, regional agreement, vehicle repairs, and then the undetermined would be Stone Bridge. I'm sure that by the time the pre-town comes out, we'll have numbers on Stone Bridge, and then we'll be able to move forward with the numbers on that. Any questions on that one? Article 5, deposits to the general fund stabilization, no pet accounts. See if the $207,500 deposits into the operations, capital, stabilization accounts, and the OPED reserve accounts, and it lists the numbers as followed. Again, submitted by the select board, and the majority vote required. Appropriation by transfer of said sums from certified free cash. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? 6, Community Preservation Act appropriations, except $190,800 for various activities. Select board amount, they're looking 35,000 Stone Bridge. Unsure if that amount is going to be the exact correct amount due to you're still waiting to get all the numbers back on Stone Bridge. Other than that, that's all they have for that right now. Questions on Article 6? 7, retention of tax deeded properties. See if the town will vote to retain certain tax delinquent properties, which it foreclosed the right redemption and acquire through tax deed for the following purposes. Elm Street, parcel 1 for recreation purposes, and Elm Street, parcel 2 for highway and general municipal purposes. Take any other action there too. Any questions on Article 7? Article 8 is sale of parcels for tax deeded land. It's to authorize the select board to dispose of certain tax delinquent properties. There's 7 parcels listed on there. And we'll set forth the ability for the select board to execute sale of tax deed land in Templeton as listed. This does require a 2/3 vote at a town meeting.
Tom, I do have one comment coming up from Bob May, so I'm not sure where this flows back to, but he asks, how does this follow the FMP? That's on the stabilization numbers.
Okay, I think I know which one it goes back to.
Okay.
I believe that's going back to Article 5.
Right.
I would have to check on that, on what on the numbers on that. This is just what we got preliminary wise, and I really haven't had a chance to delve into how that follows that. I know that's not going to answer his question, but we can look into how that follows and have the answer for that for pre-town.
Okay.
I will write it down because otherwise I will forget.
I got it.
Okay, as far as the rest, do we usually review and make determinations or votes of pre-town on citizens petitions? We do have a few of them here. One was Article 9 on fluoride warnings on water bills. This was held over from the 2020 annual town meeting. And as you recall at the town meeting, to try to keep it shorter, it was agreed that these would go on the fall town meeting due to the pandemic. So that is holding true to their word on that and carrying through with these articles. Article 10 is the citizens petition on fluoride legalization, which was also held over from 2020 annual town. Article 11 was the citizens petition on a quorum at annual town meeting, which was also held over from 2020 town meeting. And that is the, basically will be the warrant for the fall town meeting. As I said, it will be, we can do a pre-town within our next advisory board meeting. And we can discuss and make our recommendations once we have the, hopefully have the finalized warrant in our hand by then. And we'll be able to do that. I will see where things are on the selectmen's agenda, and hopefully they fall so we have the final warrant prior to in time to have our meeting, so we don't have to reschedule to fit it within the guidelines. Any other comments, questions, concerns on fall town meeting warrant? Did you have something, Will?
To go over it now was, to me, until we get the final, there's nothing that we can end up doing, because there's a lot of things they could change their mind and take things off or put stuff on.
No, I agree. I just wanted to bring it up. We had received the draft warrant, and I wanted to bring it forward to the committee to try to keep, lines of communication open. I appreciate getting it ahead of time and before the final. I think that's important, and it gives us time to, if we want to look up things and look into things, it gives us a good idea, so we're not getting it right before and have little time for reading into things. So I think that's good, and it's a good indication from town hall to as far as working with us. Anyone else have anything else on this topic? All right, up next, Will's favorite topic, Board of Selectmen workshop for October 7th. We did get out we'll be sending out the Zoom. I believe Holly sent out the Zoom invitation today. It is at a 6:30 meeting on the 7th. I will be, assuming that we're planning to all attend. I know we discussed it last meeting, and majority were. I will be posting that as a meeting for us also. I think this is a good opportunity to start working with the select board on moving forward while still keeping our individualism as a board. I don't believe that they're looking to have us push ourselves to vote for them and them to vote for us. I think both boards have plenty of strong personalities to where we make our own decisions. I think that it's good to hear the information. One of our complaints, and I heard it a couple times this spring, was, why'd the select board get all the information and we're just getting it now and expecting to make a decision tomorrow? And this way, department heads only have to give the information once, then we can vote as a board separately. And that's important too. I think that having the information at the same time will be very beneficial. And we'll see, you know, how the workshop goes. They don't want to, I don't think either board's looking to overtake the other. We both have our own policies as far when it comes to year-end transfers. And I think I'm very open to working with them to get the information. And then each board can individually use the information that we receive. In my opinion, I know there are other opinions out there. I don't think that, I know there's a lot of communities that do it one way, there's some that do it the other. Maybe Templeton, we just need to do it our way and do it so that what's going to work best for Templeton. It may not be what other towns do. It may not work at all for other towns, and it may work for us. So I think that it doesn't hurt to listen and go forward with the workshop and doing that as far as that goes, in my opinion. Others, if you have an opinion, please speak in on it.
I've got an opinion. So I think it's a good idea that we all get the information at the same time, so we hear the same information. Because sometimes, you know, we'll hear something or they'll get the information, and then when it gets to us, it may have been changed a little bit. So this way, we're all getting the same information. I've kind of been thinking about this, and I think that there's a couple of different ways that it could be done. There may be a transfer that's an absolute no-brainer that everybody goes, yes, that you could actually vote on it right then and there. But I don't want to take away our autonomy of discussing issues to where we can discuss, okay, we have the information, now we want to go to our own meeting and discuss it and see what we really think just as a board, because I don't want to be influenced by the Board of Selectmen, and I don't want them to influence us. We don't want to influence them, rather. So I think a lot has to be on the table to do this. I think the main goal is that we all get the information at the same time, so we're not surprised when it comes up, knowing they had it for a week.
Yeah, I agree. I think getting the information all at the same time. So same reasons cited. I'm on board with it.
Anyone else got any opinions on the workshop? Like I said, we'll be posting it as I believe we'll have enough there that we need to post the meeting. And I agree with Tony. I think that keeping the autonomy of the board so that we have our own opinion, they have theirs. I don't think that anyone's looking to take that away from either board. Obviously, our committee needs to stay totally separate. I think that's something that, and I guess as we move forward, you know, now we're, you know, obviously meeting online and meeting on Zoom or whatever, and it's easy to have everybody there for a board meeting. And quite frankly, just because we eventually go back to having meetings in person, doesn't mean that the following night for 15 minutes to go through on one request, we can't meet on Zoom. I think this is kind of one thing this pandemic's shown us, is that we don't have to all be sitting in a meeting hall to have a meeting. And I think that as we go forward, if we needed to all get the information at the same time, the same information, which is the most important thing in my mind, then we can go forward, whether we meet, have a vote that night, whether we have a meeting 2 days later on Zoom, once it's posted and time's gone, enough has elapsed. I think it's something that we can move forward with these things and have it done fairly quickly versus how it's had to do in the past, where a department head comes to one board, we go to the next board, then they come to the next committee and the next Board of Selectmen and back for signatures, and transfer takes a month. It's a lot of time when you're a department head and you're waiting to know if your expense is approved or not. So I don't see a lot of negatives. I think it's important we just try to work with them. Any other questions on the workshop? Comments? All right, next up is I got an email from Holly. It's a Regional School District Agreement Review Committee. They're looking for a member on the looking for a committee advisory member to volunteer for be a member of the committee for discussion of updates to the regional school district agreement. Looking to see if we have any interested members for this.
I'll do it.
Okay, that's excellent. Anyone like to make a
So
motion?
I make a motion to nominate Amy Guthrie as the advisory board representative to the regional school agreement group. I don't know if they have an official name.
Don't know if it's an official name yet or not, but Regional School District Update Committee. I'll go with that.
Okay. I nominate her for that.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none. Tony?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Will?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you for stepping up. I appreciate it. And I think it's going to be an important committee going forward with the town. All right, next up is the annual Town Finance Committee annual meeting. That training that being held October 22nd, 29th, and the 12th. Will, you did express interest. Is anybody else interested in attending these workshops or trainings? Before I did wait till our membership was paid. I'm going to call them and contact them. And I'll be getting the information out to you.
I need to see more information on it before I commit to 3 days.
What's that, Tony?
I just like to see more information on the, if they have agenda for each days and stuff before I can commit to 3 days.
Okay, I can look at that. I think I got a pamphlet on it I can send to you. Basically, it's looking at that they're not 3 full days. Basically, they look like their classes are they're an hour and a half in the evening. It looks to be from 7 to 8:30 p.m. on those 3 days, with seminars on various financial seminars. They're skipping election week, so that's why the difference in the time frame. But I can shoot an email out to you guys and just let you know what the exact information is.
That'd be great. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else have any interest in meeting or want to?
Yeah, I did. I remember seeing the email, and if you send the agenda again, I think there were, some classes that looked really interesting that I wanted to attend. So, and if they're in the evening, I think that's feasible for me.
Okay.
Do we have to sign up by a certain date?
I will. It doesn't say a certain date, but I will give them like I said, I'm planning to give them a call probably Monday. So I'll give us me a chance to get the email out to everybody and able to just what their classes are, and then we can go from there as far as who's interested in the program. I think it may be open afterwards. Maybe the presentations could be available afterwards. I'm not sure. Did sound like it would be, but I can also look into that when I contact them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else on that topic? Wire still going good, Deb?
Indeed, interesting, but no comments for you.
Oh, good. All right, next up is old business or open issues. I do have one quick one under this. As advisory board representative on the planning committee, we have met. We did have an initial request from the Gum Awake Committee on a very worthwhile project. It was decided that we did need to have them justify why it needed to be on fall town meeting versus the annual town meeting cycle, as most of the planning board projects. There was some concern from viewers on YouTube with some questions. And also, we had questions as a committee on what the justifications were. Did ask their committee to come back to us the following week. We scheduled another meeting to go over that. We did receive an email, and Mr. Dill did come to our meeting, and they did withdraw their application for the project at this time, noting that they do plan to follow the correct non-emergency cycle with the planning board to go forward in the annual town meeting with the project cycles as has gone forward before. None of this was, to say that to the planning board that it was not a worthwhile project. We were just looking to have the proper procedure followed, and I think that I certainly expect and I plan to see it come forward in the spring, and then we'll evaluate it with the rest of the projects, and they will be working on with the community preservation committee on some funding as far as that goes going forward. That's just my update as far as planning committee goes, as far as capital planning as our representative. So if anyone has any questions about that, feel free to ask. All right, does anybody else have any other old business or open issues that they want to go over?
I'm not sure if it's old business, so if we're going to do new business, I'll bring it up there. I have something I want to talk about.
All right, does anyone else have any concrete old business before we switch over to new business?
Okay. So, so as I think a lot of people saw, several members of the planning board in this town were fined for an ethics violation for the zoning on Baldwinville Road. At our pre-town meeting and then at the town meeting, we were assured by members of that board that this had gone through the state ethics, and there was no problem. Well, if there was no problem, why did they get fined? So I'm not sure if there's a process where we can undo the zoning that was done. Obviously, they found some big problems with how people voted, that there were people on that board that could profit from the change in the zoning of that area. So I'm just very concerned that members of that board were fined, I mean, for a small community, in some cases, several $1,000s. I just felt like our board was lied to, and now they're just going on, and doesn't seem to be a whole lot that anybody can do.
On that, I'm unsure. I'll probably, like everybody else, if there's any thing that due to the violations, if that does or in any way would negate any of the zoning rezoning issues. Certainly something we can ask as far as assume it'd be down at a town hall. We can ask and see who the appropriate person would be to look into it as far as zoning, or as far as if there's a determination within the fine structure on the approval of that.
I mean, I know when we took our vote as a committee, the fact that they had said it'd been cleared by the state ethics is what really swayed my vote to a yes vote. If they had said no, we haven't even talked to them, I would have absolutely said no. And so I'm just a little concerned that we kind of had one pulled over our eyes.
I know there's always the ability to bring forward to the town, I guess, rezoning of the rezoning. And rightfully so, as much as, as far as board was lied to in that, or wasn't told the exact information they should have been given, neither were the taxpayers at that point either. So, and if members of the community feel that way, they certainly can make that determination. I don't know if that actually would reverse anything or if current places would be grandfathered, and I'm not an attorney when it comes to that. Not sure how that would work. We certainly can ask, as a board, if, I wasn't on the board at the time, but if members of the board that were on, were told one thing and another thing was done, then that's something that, the board certainly has their right to ask that question. I think that's an important question because we don't want to be lied to going forward. And
No, and I have a comment from Bob May. I believe this item was mentioned by AG on the review of this bylaw exchange, and that Tony, he does agree, and he spoke after Kirk assured us that it was okay with state ethics. So again, that's coming from Bob May.
okay, and I believe Bob was on the board at the time.
He was.
And again, that's something that, moving forward, it's, if it comes up to be questioned, reversed, rezoned, may sound like the right or wrong thing, but we want to be given the correct information. And I'm not sure where they all stood on it, where they currently stand on this committee that they have. And I think there's going to be a lot of people looked at that and kind of raised a lot of eyebrows. But at the same time, the question comes up, do they pay their fine and they've, done their punishment? And people don't always agree with if the punishment fits the crime, but there's a lot of things right now that either way could go either way. So, but I do understand that frustration, Tony, especially if there's a vote that you took that goes with that. So we can look into that. Just see if there's a question on it.
All right, thanks.
Anybody else have any new business? Once, twice, any comments, Deb, on the?
No, I think we're good.
No one yelling at you on YouTube?
No, they're good.
Okay, if no one else has anything else to go over, I'd certainly entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion, all those in favor, Tony,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Will,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. All right, thank you all. Thank you very much for
Thanks,
being here tonight.
everybody.
Appreciate it.